There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out.
Welcome to the show Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making your chapter, your next chapter, and the chapter after that, the very best chapter. I am your host, Lorraine Hoving from It's About Time, and I am glad you are joining us today. This day will change your life. Open your heart, your ears, and listen, and you will find a gem, a treasure that you can apply to your life today. I am thrilled that you're back here today, and I want to tell you that today, if you listened to the show last week, I told my story once again, and you are here today to get tools on the journey that I took to lose weight and to make my life literally better every single day. So I am thrilled that you are here today. So let's get started, because this is a little bit heavier, because I'm first going to talk about leaving the past behind. In order for us to proceed, if we have deep-seated trauma from our past, let me see, whatever happened, maybe you've had abuse, whatever has happened, we have to go back and deal with that, I believe, and use forgiveness around what has happened to us. And this is a little bit about my journey. So once I've been through my journey, I began to write and pen some of this. So this is penned. I have written this in an online course, and I'd like to read some of this to you. Each of us come from somewhere, right? We all have parents, whether they were there for us or not. And a lot of us have siblings. We are all an accumulation of our experiences, good or bad. Our formative years are the memories that have burrowed themselves deep within our subconscious. They can be happy, sad, scary, and beautiful, all rolled into one. As a child, I remember loving life and believing it was one big happy party. I do remember that. I always thought it was a big party. I remember bringing kids home from school and, orchestrating the basement suite there with all kinds of fun stuff for the kids. And I was happy. As a child, I remember that. Until reality knocked on my door when my baby brother Raymond suddenly died. I didn't tell you this last week, but he died when I was 5 and my father when I was 11. I remember feeling at the young age of 5, what a cruel world this was. This was a mean world. I loved my little baby brother. Years later, my beloved dad died suddenly, and all those feelings and many, many, many more came back to haunt me. These two sudden deaths in my life allowed deep-rooted emotions of fear and insecurity to flood my very thought. In fact, I remember as a child, I used to remember, boy, if I'm happy, what's going to drop? What's going to happen to me? Because I love my little baby brother. I used to play with him in the crib. Every morning I woke up, I would go run and play with him. Actually, he died when he was a year. If I say I was 5 years old when he died, and he was a year, and he died of a heart disease, and nobody had explained that to me at 5 years old, and I just didn't realize. Suddenly, I went to go play with him in the morning, and he was no longer there. So that was sudden. When my dad died, it was also sudden. And I think I started to realize every time I'm happy, something bad is going to happen. I love my little brother, and then something happened to him. I adored my daddy, and then something happened to him. And I remember when Tim, my husband, would come home from work, if he was a half hour late, I'd be in a panic because I was certain that something was going to happen to him. So that's what was crippling me. It literally has taken me over 60 years to unravel the puzzle. I can now trace where my insecurities and my overeating issues began to unfold. After my daddy died, my older brother, like I said last week, began to verbally abuse me and call me fatty, fatty 2x4. You may too have experienced trauma as a child, far worse than I did. I've heard stories that are incredibly painful in my life of things that have happened to children. So you have made what you may look at mine and think, what a, that's not that big of a deal. It was to me. And trauma is always, always felt intensely by the person it's happening, and especially when you were a child. Perhaps you have experienced physical or sexual abuse. I am here to be honest with you. The only way to leave the past behind is through the door of forgiveness. Yes, you can live your life without revisiting the dark parts of your past, but if you are harboring unforgiveness, you will never truly be free. If you are harboring that, and that's part of your heart, and remember when I talked where you have to face reality, when I had to look in the mirror when I was naked and say, I am morbidly obese. When you are harboring those dark spots, you need to say, I have not forgiven. And you need to take responsibility if you want to grow and you want to better your life. When you don't forgive others, it will often leave you powerless. It is as if there is a chain clamped tightly on your ankle and the ankle of the person you need to forgive. So in other words, you are dragging that person around everywhere you go in your life, in your relationship. That person has still got a grip on your life. You cannot shake them. In fact, you have moments of anger for apparently no reason, or hours of binging, or like me, binging, or addictions, and you are not sure why you seem to be out of control. When we hold on to our past hurts, we relive the pain over and over in our minds. Somehow we want to punish ourselves, even believing it was our fault. And I want to talk to you about that for a minute. There are times that I believed it was my fault that Daddy died, and then when my brother verbally said things to me, I believed him. And so I wanted to punish myself. So in overeating, if you are an overeater, you understand this. If you are obsessed and maybe morbidly obese, you will understand this. I would literally want to almost kill myself with food. I don't know how to explain it. Eat until I could no longer eat anymore, because I was not worthy and I was punishing myself. And I believe it all stemmed from not forgiving. And so if you want to improve your life, if you want to live your last 5 chapters or whatever chapters God gives you with vitality, enthusiasm, freedom, I believe it's through the door of forgiveness. At least I know that was for me. Why? That is why you seem out of control. That is why, like I said, you will have outbursts of anger and you don't know where it came from. You can't always, you're not always aware in your consciousness, but in your subconsciousness, there is that root of unforgiveness. Do you want true inner freedom or do you want to remain the same? If not now, when are you going to forgive? On your deathbed, on your last days, or never? The choice is yours. And when we forgive others, it's not that we are saying you didn't do anything wrong, but it is saying that you have no power over my life because I forgive you. Today, or wherever your heart is ready, whenever your heart is ready, I believe it is time to forgive. I would like you to work on yourself. Take some time in January here and begin to delve deep and then address those issues and learn to forgive. When I began to forgive people, and all the relationships are what I felt like my siblings had done, it would bring up emotions, and I had to deal with these emotions. I had anger, and I needed to express the anger, and I did. I actually expressed the anger out loud. I have found as I've gotten older that it is so important to hear my voice. When I looked in the mirror, I said out loud, I am morbidly obese. So when I learned to forgive, I learned to forgive my brother, but I had to express my anger. I had to express that he was nasty and mean and that I had begged him to quit so many times. But as soon as I did that, I sensed a relief because even though my brother wasn't there when I was expressing my anger, I was telling him exactly how he made me feel. And that felt so good for my soul. When I was younger, I would scream and tell him, but this was me telling the deep parts of what he had done to me. I expressed my anguish towards my mother, which was very difficult for me because I thought it made me a bad girl. I felt guilty for upsetting her. The truth was that I was angry with her for not coming to my rescue when my brother was teasing. So I went through all of this. And at first, I didn't even want to admit that I was angry towards my dad because I adored him. And when I finally let it out, I felt like a 200-pound weight lifted off of me. Once you let your anger go, you are suddenly given the tools to forgive others. When you let that anger out, you realize I can't even explain it, but you realize that we are all human. And my brother didn't intently want to hurt me, but he was hurting possibly himself. You see, all these people in your life that may hurt you, the truth is they themselves did not know differently at the time. Perhaps they were raised in a manner that left them emotionally wounded. Suddenly, once the anger is expressed, it is replaced with overwhelming forgiveness and then pure love for another human that may not have suffered some injustices like you. I felt a deep love suddenly for my mother, my brother, and my daddy. Remember, the weak can never forgive. Let me repeat that. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And let me tell you out there, you are strong. If you are listening to my voice today, you are strong. I promise you that. The hardest person, like I said, was for me to forgive myself. I